Hello and welcome to part 2 of my video series about my DIY Fallout terminal. By the way, in the background you can actually see me playing Fallout 76 on the terminal. For this project I used a laptop and a 12-inch screen unit. Both had their own power supplies with different voltage ratings. So normally you would have to use two power plugs to run both devices at the same time, but I wanted to have only one power plug inlet on the terminal. So I just hooked them both up in parallel at the 230 volt side. If you want to work on any electrical device yourself, please make sure you know what you're doing because this really can be dangerous. To hook up both power supplies in parallel, I started by cutting off the old plug of the laptop supply and dismantling the ends of the cables. Then I soldered two wires to phase and neutral of the PCB of the second power supply. The other ends were crimped alongside with phase and neutral of the laptop power supply. The laptop power supply also has protective earth, which is crimped here alone. With all the crimping done, I was able to connect the wires to the IEC socket, which is my power inlet for the terminal. So this is the power supply for the laptop and that's the power supply for the screen. Now I'm going to test the mains wiring for the first time because I want to see if the setup I just made works as intended. Let me just flip the switch. The light there went on. The light of the screen also went on. Now I'm pressing the power button. And the fan starts spinning. And we also have a picture on the screen. Great! On this pic you can see that the front plate of the terminal has got some sort of leather on it. So I bought a roll of self-sticking fake leather and put it on the front. Then the holes for the screen, the keyboard and the speaker grill had to be cut out. What I always liked about the terminal were the turning knobs on the right side of the screen. I figured it would be cool to use one as the power button and the other one as the volume control of the terminal. In order to make that happen, I had to extend the flat flex cable which wires the button board to the motherboard by soldering some jumper wires on the PCB. On this picture you can see the button and its new cables lead to the motherboard. This is just a push button, so the knob has no function when turned. The other knob has a rotary encoder behind it. This encoder is wired to a DigiSpark microprocessor, which functions as a volume control via USB. Another useful function I added was that I made the headphone jack accessible on terminals outside. For that I just used an extension cord and implemented the jack into the keyboard for the screen controls. Of course painting had to be done. For that I used a brush roll because the finished surface is much smoother than with a normal paintbrush and there are less layers needed than with spray paint. Then I left the parts for drying overnight. After painting, I finally was able to put the front plate assembly together. The small cables you can see there are for the power button and for the rotary encoder. Thanks a lot for watching part 2. Part 3 will be a time lapse of me putting the whole terminal together.